Zach, how you holding up?
I'm doing pretty good, like it's what I do is I put two steel rods, take them, and then just tape them to my
Yeah.
legs,
Uh-huh.
and then I can just stand there, and I'm up.
And that's how. Oh, did you're up? It's
I'm held
like
up pretty
Forrest
well.
Gump. Like
Yeah.
Forrest Gump.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jenny.
Jenny.
No.
Run, Forrest. Run, Zach. Run.
Oh man, it's about the same amount of knee dexterity, honestly. If you saw me run, yeah. But overall, I'm doing okay, man. Yeah,
Good,
it's
good.
crazy times, but I have my ways of finding the wholeness in life. How about you? How are you holding up?
Well, as Indiana Jones would say, it's not the years, it's the mileage. And I'm feeling the mileage, but we're still moving. This vehicle is still moving, and it's being fueled by pop culture, friendship, and these conversations. Because guess what's coming up next? We're talking about, does it still hold up? Coming up next on Least Important Things. Welcome to a podcast called Least Important Things, a show about movies, friendship, and finding meaning in the most important of the least important things. I'm your host, Luke Ferris, and I can barely keep it together, barely holding up. In today's episode, we're discussing, does it still hold up? What movies, television, music, and other media still hold a candle to the flame, and why? Joining me today is a man who is holding up beautifully. Zach Hall, welcome back to the show.
Oh, thanks, Luke. I wasn't, that's really nice of you to say. I think you are too, man. Look at you. Look at you. Look at this
Look
guy.
at you. Look at us. Look at us.
For our audio listeners, I'm seeing a portrait of a man on fire. Like,
Yes.
You are holding up really well right now, I'd say.
Thanks. You as well. You've got the layers on. You're looking great. I'm always blessed to see your face, aging like a fine wine.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's the beauty of holding up too. What is holding up? Because it is all subjective. It is all.
It is.
And it's better when you get group confirmation, as we'll talk about later. Like,
Yes.
it's a big deal. When things hold up and people agree that they hold up, I think those are what's most important in life, is the shared consciousness, appreciation of something. So I appreciate you, man. Thanks for having me on.
I appreciate you. We're glad to have you back.
Yeah.
I think about talking to my 15-year-old self, or if there are any kids out there, young teens, it's really not about peaking early. It's about gracefully aging and getting better as you age. That's what life's all about. That's a little secret that you can take away with. That's a little wisdom from Least Important Things from two fine, well-aged men here talking about pop culture, movies, and fun stuff on today's episode. Zach, we're glad to have you back. It's been a minute. We're in a new studio setup. We'll get you here in person in studio soon. A lot of fun stuff that we've been talking about, a lot of fun movies. Great more things coming here in 2026. But before we dive into our discussion today, whether it's your first time listening or watching, or you're a friend of the show, thanks for being here. Remember to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts or on YouTube so you don't miss an episode. We have a Patreon where you can become a free member to receive email alerts when a new episode is released, video updates, exclusive conversations, and additional information about the episode. For the same price as a cup of coffee or a pint, you can become a friend of the show and get a Least Important Things sticker, exclusive content, and more special surprises to come. Supporting the show helps us cover the cost for our production tools and helps us make more episodes like this one. Visit patreon.com/leastimportantthings to learn more. Of course, if we hit 40 Patreon members, paid or free, we will be rewatching Twilight and discussing it. Yes, Mike Wynn will be forced to be, and maybe Zach will be forced. Anybody can join us to partake in a Twilight rewatch.
Could I interject? I love your fans, but I'm disappointed that you guys haven't hit that 40 yet, because this could make your 2026. Not you, Luke.
It could.
I mean, you've watched Twilight hundreds of times. You've probably,
Yes.
I mean, it's probably going to be awesome to have Mike on the show again, like whatever. But for our audiences, as a member of you, this is what we need right now. We need this commentary. Please get him there. Help these guys out.
We got to do it. Thanks, Zach. I appreciate it. It's our goal for the year. So hit your goals. Help us hit our goals. Most importantly, this is an independent podcast, so the best way you can help the show is by recommending it to somebody. So whether you're at a dinner party, to having small talk in the break room, talking about is that person from high school holding up? Please recommend least important things to a friend.
I can't tell you.
We all do it. We all do it.
I just did that this weekend. I had that wole thing.
Okay.
Like,
Okay. We all do it.
Yeah,
yes.
I know.
Yeah. It's how are they doing?
Yeah.
This is the tone. Have you heard from them yet? Have you heard them?
Yeah.
That's the tone.
Exactly,
Where we all just want to just know, are they holding up?
Yeah. Oh, they got they're not doing much anymore. Like they just don't even go outside. They don't even do much. They just have kids. And they don't. That's their life. Oh man, they don't have a podcast that they do. Oh, that's bummer.
Don't have a podcast. Come on.
Our listeners probably hate us right now.
All our listeners are holding up.
Yeah,
just fine. They're doing great. Well, Zach, we're talking about how does something hold up? It's a colloquial thing you say as pop culture fans. You kind of throw it out there. Oh, that's holding up well. But what are the ingredients of something holding up? What is the secret recipe from a movie or any pop culture?
We talk about nostalgia on this show a lot. I was kind of like, when I'm talking to you, I was like, well, why aren't we revisiting stuff then? Like, I think this is a good opportunity a good conversation to give any type of advice about like how to evaluate something that maybe pops up in your head, you know, after not having seen it 20 years from the last viewing. Because there's a lot of stuff out there that's really worth revisiting, I think, in this day and age, especially at the ages that we are approaching. As you get your kids, you know, start having kids, you're going to want them to see these things or listen to these things or just consume these things. But yeah, what is holding up? I think it's also subjective a little bit.
Yes, of course.
But there are some elements I think that we can consider as we're revisiting some of our past favorite media. So Luke, I actually took some time. I got out one of my little note cards, number 2 pencil.
Oh.
And I have like an actual recipe for you.
Oh, amazing. Passed down from generation to generation, I hope.
I would hope, yes, from here on.
Yeah. This is grandma's recipe.
Yeah, this is my grandma's green Jell-O.
Yes.
But instead what I have is the ingredients for why something would hold up. If you want to talk through that, let me know. I'm still working on it. We're in the test kitchen.
We're always refining recipes. You
Exactly.
can. That's why you have it in pencil. You can erase it, scratch it off, add notes, add an additional thing, add a tablespoon of this, a teaspoon of that.
Mm-hmm. And this is a secret recipe just for you and the listeners.
Thank you.
Don't share this widely.
I won't.
But essentially, we've got 6 key pieces to this recipe. I think, as we're thinking about, for our listeners, and maybe you, Luke, just put something in your head where you're like, man, I would really like to watch that or listen to that again or play that again. Just take a moment to find that. And then here's what I would advise. Here's the elements for a successful piece to actually hold up. We'll start off with our first ingredient. 2 cups of Fandom. I think you need to have salad. I mean,
you gotta have that.
Exactly.
You gotta have it. That's the whole point. That's why it probably popped up in your head in the first place.
Yeah. I mean, I think you have to have something get caught on in looking back. So I'm going to actually take you back to not current time, but the past, when this first thing popped up, this movie, Pokemon cards. Like, imagine that era.
Oh, yes.
You had a entire group of people your age attached to a property, an IP, something, and on its initial release, a strong base of people supported it, loved it, really agreed with it. You really loved Waterboy. Like all the kids, Austin Powers, that's one that's everybody in school talked about it. Yeah, baby.
Yeah, baby. Yeah.
That's so bad. Can you do it? I can't do it. You can do it.
Baby. No, I can't.
Yeah, but like everybody as kids, like it was a PG-13 movie, but when I was out, we were still like intermediate school, early middle school, maybe.
They don't make PG-13 content anymore. I just have to say that, not to get us off base, but there's not PG-13 stuff anymore.
Yeah.
It's just not where there's adult jokes that kids that are 9, 10, 11, 12 don't get, but they can still watch the movie. We just don't make content like that.
Exactly. Yeah. Or it's just like Greenland 2. Like, sure. Sure. It's
or just whatever Chris Pratt is doing, apparently.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, so looking back, there had to have been some type of strong base there that, for a year it was in the headlines. People talked about it. Pop culture attached to it. Maybe even like 5 years later or 10 years later, you're watching I Love the 90s and they bring it up at some point. Or like The Toys That Made Us on Netflix was like highlighting it. This is like those things, and hopefully you had like some original experiences. Maybe you got that Furby, or you like you listen to that Now That's What I Call 18. Yeah. I think I started on Now That's What I Call 1. That's what I call Music 1.
You were the original.
I was buying those CDs up. So consider that Fandom, and then move on to why that is important. Add 3 ounces of relatability. And I'm not just talking about everybody. Why was it relatable to you? Why do we attach to it? What about us attached to that property? Like, was it something that like just happened to have some really great action in it that we, I think actually to take this back a little bit, for me, the 90s were really important. Action 90s movies were really important because a lot of stuff was written for my demo. So it was really easy to see myself in those movies and to be a part of those, be that main character syndromed person. But
Keanu Reeves, patron saint of this podcast. Please listen to our Keanu Reeves episodes. So, the idea that, when you're watching Speed or Point Break, you feel connection, you feel relatability. Like, I could be Johnny Utah.
Exactly. Yeah, I could be Johnny Utah. That kind of that thought, and like, there's usually some way that maybe you specifically as a person, your interests relate to that. So I love surfing. I want to be that surfer. I could be Johnny Utah. I also have a passion to join the FBI. That would be great too. But I mean, there is a strong, not just like, I think all of us like to join a fad, or a craze, but what keeps it in our minds after that initial, like Labubu's, like, is that, I think for some people that's probably going to attach to people long term, but for the wider group, that's where you're going to start seeing the fallout off if you don't find any relatability to the property. So those 3 ounces of relatability are super important. I don't know. What do you think about that? Is that something that you relate to?
Yes, I do relate to it. I think that's part of what this show is all about, is that meaning portion. We talk about it. It's in our tagline of the show. There has to be a kind of a meaning connected to it. I think about even the episodes we've done this past season. There's so much of that comes back to a relatability. Just talked about it on the High School Musical episode. I mean, that really, when you look at the recipe, it should not work, but there's elements of relatability. When you first watch, who did you watch it with? That's a big one for me with relatability.
I think also what is unique for when we grew up is we had some amazing family and children comedies and dramas that were of our age. Like you said, like a PG movie was actually, a live action PG movie was pretty common. So we got to relate to people our own age constantly as well. And in fun situations where they get a blank check, or they are really, really rich, and but their parents are never around, and all they have is
rich.
Yeah. And they just, we have a butler, and people are manipulating us all the time because their parents aren't there, and they want to use us for their own advantages. Like those, or we really want to be a spy and love Raincoats and Rosie O'Donnell. Like that kind of stuff. Or snow days. We love snow days.
Yes.
So
There's always, or we have a rocker that becomes our school teacher in School of Rock. Shout out Peter. School of Rock, a really good example of that, where a lot of people our age that saw that between 8 and 13 were like, I want to be in a rock band. So there is that connection that really can bring relatability because you're watching it at a certain age.
Yeah, exactly. So it usually starts, and I'm really interested, and I will say this as we're getting to our third piece here, because this is kind of this last ingredient of the first three, these first three ingredients kind of set the base for your first experience with this before we actually revisit the property. So I think and I'm very interested to, as we are constantly present and ingesting and consuming new things all the time. I can't wait to like use this as a test for the current things that are coming out and apply that to trying to see if the things will hold up in the future. The next piece that I want to talk about is benchmarking, a tablespoon of benchmarking. So just
one little tablespoon.
Just a little, just like, you don't even have to really measure it out. Just kind of like,
just whip it in there.
Yeah. Just bam. It's
speaking of 90s, early 2000s.
Exactly.
Emerald in the house.
You've identified the big pop culture craze. You found a way to relate to it and attach to it so you can carry it for yourself. Does it also change the genre of whatever it is in some way? I think looking back, a big observation that I have is it's typically the first or second thing that made it great. And there's a lot of things that copy it after.
Right.
So maybe it is like a certain genre, within
Harry Potter is probably good. I mean, it could have copied you could argue it copied Lord of the Rings, but
sure,
you can always go back, listen to our nostalgia feedback loop episode in season 1.
Yeah.
But that's a great example where a property came out, you have the fandom, you have the relatability. It's I'm growing up as these books and then these movies are coming out. Mm-hmm. And then the benchmarking is after that, it was we need to find the next Harry Potter for every publisher, every movie studio. It's why you got Hunger Games. It's why you got Maze Runner after that. But that late 90s, early 2000s Harry Potter book and movie craze is really what was the benchmark for all that YA fiction that we now have is the staple in our books and in our pop culture.
YA fiction is a great example of this. And when we go back to the original roots of it, I think we'll be able to like use that as the base for moving forward and like really taking that into the present as we go to the next ingredient of this. So we have to let this cook. So give it time.
Let it cook.
And let it bake at 350 for like 15 to 20 years. So give it some time there. Let these things cook a little bit and even let them forget for a little bit about their existence. So let that
I think that's critical.
Happen. Yeah.
I think it's critical. I think we're so easy in our culture today. We want to watch a movie or a series or an adaptation or music comes out and we want to have a snap judgment. Mm-hmm. But art in general, I think you really have to let it sit. You have to let it bake for a long time. You can't view it and it can't hold up long term. And I think that's if you talk to a lot of artists, something that lasts is not maybe their goal, but it is a big part of what they're doing is to create something that lasts.
Yeah.
To create generational impact. That's every artist's dream. So sometimes we like to jump in and say, oh, this is the best or this is the worst but we really got to let stuff cook in the oven.
Yeah. And just forget about it for a little bit. Just let it sit.
Yeah, the forgetting is key.
Just let it hang out there for a while and maybe we don't know what's going on in there. We leave that oven. We're going to go do something new. Do something brand new. Maybe we're going to watch the next version of it. Or maybe we're going to build the next thing that looks a lot like it, but it's a little updated. And then we're going to let that kind of, that wall of time kind of build up. So we even forget about it for a little bit so that we just it allows opportunity for the future, essentially.
Right.
And that's where I think this is really authentic, is because there's a certain level of emotion when we do find it again. And I think that's really like the cool part about it, because it's usually triggered by some type of memory later down. That nostalgia piece will happen. Yeah. Oh shoot, I left this in the oven is what we're looking for there.
Right, exactly.
15, 20 years later. Oh shoot, this was something that I watched obsessively and I forgot about it. So once you've remembered that it's in the oven and it's cooked, now it's time to let it cool for 2 hours to identify if it's resilient.
Make sure you have mitts, take it out. And let it cool. You don't dive into it right away. Let it cool a little bit.
Yeah. Anything that's in the oven, you can't just dive. You can't just cut it open and start going, eating it. You have to let it still marinate on the inside. So and this is where we start evaluating on a sensory. We reapply our senses to this new experience of it. 15, 20 years later, how does it smell? Run that smell test for me. How does it look? How does it feel? How does it taste? All of those senses. What are the rest of them?
I can taste
How does it sound? How does it touch? How do you touch it? Is it touch?
How's the mouth feel?
How's the mouth feel for it? Exactly. So, and actually what this actually means is run it against modern times.
Yes, a modern lens.
And I think what's really, really cool is we now live in a postmodern society where we have lived all of pop culture and all of the crazes, and we've actually been able to create tests and evaluations for those things so that we can actually look at the data a little bit more and evaluate not just purely on emotion. So
not going back to the 9-year-old you, but actually looking at it with a little bit more objectivity.
Exactly. So, I mean, we've got things now in this day and age of golden era of television, post streaming, it's been 10 years of streaming now. We have this thing called the Bechdel Test that I think is really important to apply. Scan for your biases and find those covert racist moments that might be hiding somewhere in a piece of media or in that board game that you're playing. There might be
guess who? I'm looking at you.
You want to check for this stuff because these are going to be negative ticks for it. Cringe moments are also a little bit more on the emotional side, but also just they're just not right. I just watched Blazing Saddles a couple weeks ago, and I just couldn't. This didn't make it through these tests.
Yeah, it's hard. Yeah, some of those, especially the comedies, I think too. So just jokes evolve as audiences taste change and more open to audiences. And I think the Bechdel test is great. If you don't know what the Bechdel test is, it's essentially do two female characters talk to each other separately and not about another man in the movie. We talked about that in Jurassic Pod. We had a guest who is an actual researcher who talked and did articles about the Bechdel test in Jurassic Park specifically. So that's a really good one just to observe, especially for the straight white men listeners, to just let women are not being accurately portrayed in these movies.
And I think also another way that you can run a test is bring in someone absolutely oblivious to this. They didn't watch Star Wars as a kid. They didn't, and sit quietly and ask for feedback at the end of it. I think those are really great ways to look at this too.
There's going to be some Brie paradoxes where your partner or friend might not be watching the movie and they might look up or they might look down or they might be like, but that's going to happen. Sometimes it's fun. Sometimes it's a little awkward. Sometimes it's like, oh yeah. Should have thought about that.
So actually, on a scale of what test you should run when you do this, Brie paradox is first and foremost.
Yeah, that's first and foremost test, of course.
Yeah, then we do Bechdel, then we do all that stuff. In the court of culture, does this survive? Or do we send it to jail to never be watched again? Like, does it go to culture prison? That's a great thing to approach here. I think that's exactly what does this hold up. What we're typically referring to is this stage in the recipe. However, there are like it is the most crucial piece, I think, as we're evaluating, and definitely triggers that next stage of the recipe. And that final piece that you need to do is you need to make sure that it's served in proper dishes.
Presentation.
And that presentation is key, and that you store those leftovers properly so that we can recalibrate our experience.
Oh, yes.
So we've already had our initial origin experience with this property, this IP. You've been given an amazing opportunity to revisit it and then create new positive memories of your understanding of the content from a different perspective than it was 20, 30 years ago. It's crazy to say that, like decades. You said that we're getting old. We are getting old. Life. And I feel like old man on a porch at this exact moment.
This is it.
But we cannot move on with just the memories of when we were 5. We have now had the opportunity to re-meet this old friend, go out to get a beer with this experience, and then create new memories with it. And so we should be taking those forward with us. So it might be in the situation of watching it, you noticed a new thing that you didn't remember as a kid, or there's a new element of it that changes the experience in itself. I think this is my favorite piece of this because all the rest is kind of nostalgic based, or we've already lived experiences. This keeps us in the present. So we're not like just thinking about back then. We're thinking about how we're going to actually take this and remember it going forward in the future. And that is how it holds up and continues to hold up for you into future decades. So making sure that it does bring something new to the table in the process. And that we can keep that in our memory. We can store that in our memory palace going forward. So
that's beautiful.
Yeah. What do you think, Luke? I mean, this is, I'm still working on this.
I love the ingredients. I think this is a great recipe for figuring out if something holds up. I think it's wise. It shows your decades of pop culture wisdom coming out here in this recipe. It smells good. It tastes good.
Yum.
And it should be shared with our viewers and listeners. Zach, what about things that don't hold up? We already kind of talked about when you're in that phase of like letting it cool and try to understand its resilience. We talked about obviously cultural things, racism, sexism, all those things that are pretty obvious. What are some other things that kind of take you out, or like where it kind of takes us out of that doesn't hold up? Because I'm very interested in that 5. That step in the recipe of when you get pulled out of something.
Yeah, I think it's maybe a term that's used, even if it's not like a letter word, so like a B word or the A word or the R word, like just a word that definitely isn't considered a part of culture. And I'm not saying it has to be a bad word. It could be a slang word that just sucks. It could be something, any of my late 90s, early 2000s teen movies that definitely had
the teen movies are rough. Are really rough.
That just like
you rewatch those. The writing is it can be jolting. You're like, who talks like that or ever talked like that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's a mechanic of the era that just doesn't live longer than it's actually replaced by other things. So it maybe it was great at the benchmarking stage for that time, but like not. I think if you're trying to actually borrow from other pieces of the world, like specifically pieces of the time rather.
Yeah, if you're referencing stuff all the time, like sometimes that can take you out of it, or it can work depending on what you're referencing. It. We talked about that in our High School Musical episode. Is there's 2 pop culture references in that movie. Otherwise, it's pretty timeless agnostic besides the fashion. There's the biggest one is a punked reference, which kind of has held up. I think that like even some, I don't know, in 30 years are people going to know what punked or Ashton Kutcher is all about, but
No.
that was like the one time in that movie I was like, oh yeah, this movie was in a different era. And I think a lot of times we'll also see that, I don't know, this is future casting. I get worried about the Marvel era, the quip dialogue era. I think it'll be interesting to see if that holds up, because that's a very specific language and a very specific time in movies and culture.
And just like the references of things too. I'm thinking of like casting even. There's some people that like maybe you have a cameo in something and no one will get that. Like if you show this to someone in 15 years, no one's going to understand who Renner is, I think. Like as a Hawkeye, like I don't think Jeremy Renner is going to have the gravitas to survive. And but when the movies came out, we loved it. Like it was like,
it fed a moment in time. Yeah. It fed a moment in time.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it just didn't like work out for him.
Yeah.
So like I think things like that, and I think even like even from like a pop culture language kind of standpoint, I'd rather see a movie invent something. So setting up that benchmark of like, don't make fetch won't be a thing. It is a thing. I think you can like, if you watch that movie and say, "Oh, fetch isn't going to be a thing." No, once you watch that movie, it's in your
DNA. Yeah,
DNA. It's a part of your dictionary for life. It doesn't matter what age you are. So I think which
is a great example of Mean Girls, where it's the next generation. It was adapted into a musical, and then they made a movie of the musical. So it's having kind of its own holding up iteration, and sometimes the market does that, right? Like that's why we've talked about it before in different episodes about sequels and legacy sequels, where the market tries to go through your recipe essentially. They sit in boardrooms and try to calculate all this to see if it works to make a legacy sequel. And sometimes baking grandma's recipe, Zach Hall's recipe, it's a labor of love. It's not perfect every time. You can't do it in a corporate office. You have to really be in a home, in a safe place with friends and family to be able to do it.
Exactly. Those are where the memories are made,
Yeah. I recently watched Slapshot for the first time. This obviously is a little bit different because I'm not judging it with that relatability, because I never grew up watching it, but I know it had a lot of fandom. It's always like the generational hockey movie. I love Paul Newman. I've been watching a lot of Paul Newman movies lately. So I kind of know there's that fandom, there's that benchmarking. I kind of know in Paul Newman's career in hockey movies, I know the iconography from that movie, but watching it with eyes in our modern era, it's really, really tough to let that cool, because the language, the homophobia is kind of crazy. It's almost to the point where you contrast it with Heated Rivalry, which is about two gay men that are in hockey, and then you watch Slapshot, and it's like, oh my gosh, this is night and day. But then you're almost like, well, is Slapshot, is it just this? Is her underlying? It's so homophobic that it's like obviously saying something. I don't know. It was like this very, very weird contrast of watching Slapshot, which is like the guys movie, the hockey movie, and you feel this like with our modern lens, you feel this underlying like there's something weird, deeper going on here.
Yeah. We moved on from that school of thought. Yeah. Like, I think that's a big thing. And it's just as important to watch the stuff that isn't going to hold up, because you actually understand, you feel good about how you've moved on and away from thought, like from these principles.
Yeah, because you're like, I get why they wrote that movie like that, because they're trying to capture a minor league hockey team in a factory town in Pennsylvania in the 70s. Like, they probably talked like that. The locker room talk, like it's not inaccurate. Yeah. But rewatching it or watching it for the first time with 2026 eyes and ears was like, wow, this is, I don't know if this is held up coming into it for the first time, but maybe someone who grew up watching it and their dad showed them, they might see it differently.
We have to be open to also the possibility of something not holding up and not hate on it. Some things do deserve it. Some things do deserve the hate. Give it the opportunity to represent it to yourself and ask this question, this huge question of, does it hold up? If it doesn't, you might also just allow it to accept it for what it was at that age. It was, like you said, 70s Pennsylvania culture, Pennsylvania town.
It's small town, like factory town kind of culture.
And we can
blue collar.
Yeah, we don't have to write it off necessarily. We can be like, it was great for that time. I think what we end up doing when we start failing tests in this fifth ingredient stage, like, we start like letting it aggregate to a big solid, oh, cancel it. Oh, this is unacceptable. This should be taken off the shelves kind of thing. Not always. And honestly, I will say not often, because it probably was okay for that time. There are so many things that does not apply to, I will say, but there are a lot of things too that are just like, oh, I understand what the relevancy of that was and why it did have such legs over the years.
Right.
I think Mel Brooks stuff is like really not hitting for me lately. And it was years of that, but maybe that's because it ran that first 20 years of its life. People kept talking about it as a great movie or a great series of stuff. Yeah. And then it kind of, there's a reason why we don't go back to it, because it was representative of just a certain age and it won't hold up going forward. So I think those are interesting things to keep throwing out there. The main message with that is just, why don't they? Maybe they just had a place in time and they should be time locked for that. So,
okay, let's talk about what's holding up for you. We've talked about this. We've talked about the recipe. We've talked about more of the high level theories, but let's get into it. What's holding up for Zach? What's really capturing your spirit from the recipe of holding up?
I mean, a lot. I've taken the last couple of years the opportunity to watch a lot of my own favorites, kind of like the westerns of the 90s, the action movies and the adventure movies of the 90s. A lot of these are confirmed by pop culture, and I think it's cool that also, like, a huge piece of this is I've been doing the part where I run the theories against this, like try and get that data of does it still hold up from like a bias standpoint, Bechdel Test. Okay, we pass on. So I think with a lot of things that I've been able to list here, it's because something new, and I think that's where I want to not talk about the movie. I could go through the plot of a movie very easily, but I think there's something new about it that I think is what holds up this time for me. Off the top, The Mummy.
Yes.
It slaps. That's going into that is my question when I first watched that 3 years ago was, does it still slap? That was the question I asked. And it slapped. That was the resilience test that passed. It passed very well. And I think,
and for a lot of people, hence the famous bumper sticker, honk if you love it. The 1999 movie, The Mummy, starring Brendan Fraser, whatever.
That's spot on. Yeah, exactly. That's a fad. Just keep an eye on your bumper stickers, guys, because there's probably one in the cart in front of you listening to this while you're listening to this right now. That is the part where that recalibration, that sixth ingredient keeps coming back. There's something new. This is the element that really brings it to the table for me for The Mummy, is that widely people have revisited this and confirmed it and made a cool bumper sticker about it. And also, like, Brendan Fraser's been asked about it, 15, 20 years later after a long, really tumultuous acting career, and told that he did an amazing job in that movie, that people love that movie so much. I think those memories of him like crying in interviews about his, feeling so honored to have such a fandom around him in that movie is also things that enrich the experience again for me. Because it does work so well, man. It does. It
It's
does a good
so
job.
fun.
Yeah,
It's such a fun movie.
and it's nothing like what I remember too. There was a lot of mysticism originally with that movie, and now there's a lot more practicality and like the performances and the relationships that are happening there. That as a child you're just not gonna read.
No, you're not going to. And then,
Yeah.
but I would say it's also just fantastic to watch Rachel Weisz on camera
Yeah,
and anything she does, even The Bourne Legacy, which we covered on the show.
yeah.
God bless her.
She should
Those
have.
conferences.
Man, Rachel really went through a thing. It's just like what a step, what so many stepping stones, including that Bourne movie. Man, that was not the choice.
Oh yeah, but I think that helps, right? If you have someone like Rachel Weisz, who in the original Mummy was just getting her career started.
Yep.
Same thing with Brendan Fraser. Now we see them as older adults in other projects, and
Yeah,
you see another red carpet together, and it creates that nostalgia, that trigger moment of, oh, I want to watch The Mummy. And it's also what you're talking about,
yeah,
it holding up, and you realize that other people are like, yeah, this holds up. Everyone starts agreeing. It's that positive side of internet culture, but fan communities. And that's why you get announced actually today about Mummy 4 in a theater date.
Wait, what?
Yes.
You're kidding me.
Yes. No, I'm not. This is the perfect setup. It's not a lie. Pulling up I'm Empire right now. Yes, so the Legacy sequel is coming. But that's what it's all about.
Who's coming back? Are they coming back?
They're both coming back.
Oh my god. Okay. But here's Whoa.
Okay.
Processing.
Processing.
This is a hard one. This is a different episode. Okay,
the Mummy cast coming soon.
Okay, this is a different episode because
May 2028. So we do have some time.
Okay, yeah, because like the whole reboot thing is something that we could go onto a long episode about as well. Interesting territory that we're in. I did want to reference like that movie is a good benchmark too because it created some great waves around it that actually launched The Rock's career as well in future installments. So like The Mummy is one of those, and then there's a big bucket of these that I also would add in here.
Yeah.
Like Men in Black is outstanding. And add that in. Tombstone is a personal favorite of mine, mostly because
I'm your Huckleberry.
I'm your Huckleberry is like there was a whole genre of Earp back then. Like there's a Costner movie with Wyatt Earp about Wyatt Earp.
Some dad movie Hall of Fames for sure. And I think there's a lot of movies like this for me that my dad showed me or he had on TV and that I've rewatched. So I maybe didn't. Actually, a lot of these movies I hadn't watched the full theatrical cut. I had only watched the TBS cut.
Yes.
And it's fun to rewatch them. I'm like, oh yeah, this is not just like a cool movie with Val Kilmer doing cool lines. It is an amazing movie as an adult, and you get to rewatch it, and that's where you go through the recipe, and you're like, oh yeah, all the boxes are checking in this.
Yeah, exactly. It's a huge checkbox, and it's also like just this highly stylized '90s. It is the quintessential highly stylized '90s cowboy movie. There's not the tension levels that other spaghetti westerns in the past had, and the future, whatever as the genre of western changed into like this weird hodgepodge of other genres cut up with that. This is kind of time locked as a movie that like really works for what it is, and it's just more of it's a highly fairy tale version of westerns, and that's how I look at it. And this is the perfect example of that. But yeah, I think those three, like The Mummy, Men in Black, Tombstone, are big ones for me that I kind of bucket in the same era. I mean, you probably have some that you could throw in there as well, Luke. Like, do any apply on your end like that? Kind of like these 90s adventure. Well,
there's so many of them. Con Air is going to be a big one. We've talked about many on the show. Many Keanu Reeves movies are going to be on there.
Yeah.
One recently that's popped up is the Rocky franchise. I was sick over the holiday season, and Peacock had them all on there, and I hadn't watched all the Creed, so I wanted to kind of dip my toes back on the Rocky franchise, which is something I grew up with. But they're holding up because they are simple movies. They're not trying to be something they're not.
Yeah.
They're big. They're essentially just we get to the sequels, and they're essentially just big montages. Great characters, but they're just so easy to watch. They're under two. They're all under 2 hours. They're quick. They're fun. There are some emotional moments. There's some silly moments, but you just get a lot out of it. It's a great formula. I love a good formula. I love a good franchise formula. And the Rocky franchise was a big part of my childhood. Shout out to Paul Knapp. Shout out to Jay Ferris. Specifically, watching the Rocky movies and playing the Xbox video game Rocky.
Yeah. Okay. That's an original experience.
So we're crossing into different mediums. It was they released a Rocky video game. And so those kind of were paired together as we were playing this video game and watching the movies for the first time. So fun to go back into those. And then also to pair them with the Creed movies. It's like, oh, yeah, here is. And it's fun to watch Creed, too, because you're seeing Ryan Coogler, who is right now one of the best directors of our generation.
Yeah.
And to get to rewatch him in his early infancy doing a franchise movie and loving it and seeing that with those new eyes. So again, that's bringing in a new aspect. I'm serving it up differently than I watched Rocky for the first time. It's with the context of all those things have made it really, really fun to rewatch and is holding up for me.
Any other ones out there, man, that like are that kind of like that?
Well, we've talked about a lot of these. I think there's when I think about does it hold up, there's this forgotten sequel aspect. You talked about there's an important idea of just forgetting something. We talked a lot about franchises on this show. One that we've talked about a ton is JP3, Jurassic Park 3. Shout out to Daniel. That's one of the many forgotten sequels in franchises that people reclaim. I think about Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, one that's been reclaimed. On Her Majesty's Secret Service. We'll talk about Bond later. I really like finding these forgotten sequels within franchises.
Yeah.
Because they're often derided. They're often scoffed at. I had a conversation with a coworker, huge Home Alone 3 fan. Huge Home Alone 3 fan.
Whoa.
So there's this forgotten sequel of Home Alone 3, and I'm like,
it's the bowl cut kid, right?
Yeah, I was like, how and why, and I was like, just you need to break down everything with me on this, because for me, the first two Home Alones are perfect.
Yeah,
and some of them have held up incredibly, even to a ironic viewing.
Yeah,
but Home Alone 3 is a whole nother world. And that's when it's fun. It's fun to meet people that are in different generations. It's very much a Gen Z holding up. Like the Gen Z generation is holding up Home Alone 3. And so I love those. I'm definitely in a 70s movie mood. Anything from the 70s I'm really enjoying. Black and white movies. I watched, again, I didn't have that visceral first time experience, but I watched The Apartment for the first time, which you could say is a Christmas movie. Amazing black and white movie. It felt like a modern movie, like the dialogue, the situation.
Yeah,
it was like, oh, why can't we make rom-coms like this or dramas like this today? I just would like to. I just turn on a black and white movie. I think I'm aging into, like, there's a coziness that I'm seeking.
Yeah, and
on a Sunday afternoon while I'm cooking, I'd rather turn on a black and white movie. Sometimes it just helps. Gives me comfort, and a lot of times it's watching them for the first time, which I think is unique. So it's holding up in a sense that I'm watching it with modern eyes. Some of these movies are 80, 90, 100 years old, and I don't know. It's fascinating to rewatch them or watch them for the first time because a lot of them have held up.
Yeah, what are you looking for when you select movies? And in your experience with black and white movies, I think a lot of our subject matter that we're kind of referencing are these old movies coming back
Yeah.
and asking that question, what is hitting for you from that era specifically that works and carries into our era?
I think the noir era was really the entry point for me. So I think about Humphrey Bogart movies. That was my entry point into really watching more movies from the 40s and the 50s and the 60s, of course.
Mm-hmm.
The noir genre and learning more about that really helped me understand. And then you realize, yeah, these movies don't have huge action sequences, but if you listen to the dialogue, put the subtitles on, there's no shame in that.
Nope.
You really see that these movies had so much constraint, budget, what they could show, all these things in movies back then.
Mm-hmm.
But they're a lot of times really complex character situations. You just have to pay attention a little bit more and understand. There's one, I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but Humphrey Bogart. It's really about it's a setting in post World War II, and the movie is about veterans and PTSD, and it's set in this caper in Florida, in this hotel where they get trapped and there's a hurricane and the mob's involved, and Humphrey Bogart's there kind of to save the day. But it's all part of this writing that's just about PTSD of that World War II generation. And so watching it with a fresh eyes and adult eyes, honestly, maybe when I was 18, I would be like, this is boring. But watching it now it's fascinating, and it makes me want to watch more of them.
Yeah. And I doubt, like, I think our more emotionally trained culture is finding and recognizing some really important themes there that probably even at the time, and maybe even the writers themselves, weren't able to fully express. And we're able to fill in the gaps a little bit just because of just how we're educating ourselves nowadays. So that's an enriching experience. And you also are appreciating for the time what they were able to try to express way back then, you know? So that's...
Or they're like
really
hitting it
cool.
on the nail, like, hitting the head on the nail, where it's like, yep, we're still dealing with these things today as humans, as people, as a culture.
Yeah.
And that's enjoyable to me. There's a ton of other things. Like I'll throw out a few. Pride and Prejudice, the 2005 one, a favorite here in our household. That's just a comfort watch. Could just have that on loop. Just bought the soundtrack on vinyl. The original Predator, every time I watch it, it makes me happier. I don't know why.
Okay.
It just makes me happier and happier every time I watch it.
Okay.
It's not even, I've gotten to that like fifth, sixth step where, yes, I still have that connection of when I first watched it with my brother in our grandparents' basement in probably the early 2000s on TNT. But now it's where I'm coming to it as an adult, and I'm just watching it for my own joy, for my own comfort, and watching it with a smile. And so that's one that always stands out. Horror genre. We don't talk a lot about the horror genre here.
It's true.
Candyman, we talked about it in our Chicago movie draft episode. Incredible rewatch, incredibly poignant movie, not only to the city of Chicago, but culturally. Highly suggest that. Black Christmas, which has been my new holiday rewatch. It just is the coziest slasher, scariest movie you'll ever see.
Yeah.
Just truly scarier every time I watch it. It feels like you were watching a documentary, even though it is a low budget Canadian horror movie. It just feels like it's in the year it was made in. That is the year it was made in, and every time you come to it, you are sent in a portal to that era, and it's scary every time.
Yeah, I haven't watched it. I gotta do it. You see, the documentary style thing, I think, is the coolest pitch to me. I love that.
Well, it's not even a documentary style.
Yeah.
It just feels so. I think because of that era, and because it was an indie movie, it's just like it feels like it's a bunch of randos with video cameras like shooting, not even a set. Like they just went to a town and went to a college campus and went to this house and decorated it for Christmas and just shot it, like,
Yeah.
because that's what they did.
Yeah,
There wasn't any bells and whistles. It was just raw film in camera cinema.
Yeah, almost breaks a weird metaphysical fourth wall in its way because of its low budget nature. That kind of
and shooting on film, I think that's a big commonality I've learned for me with movies specifically.
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoy things that are shot on film, and I think it always holds up. Now, I there's some digital stuff that does, but I'm a little bit biased where aesthetically the film is gonna hold up better for me.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I think that's a really good differentiator for you too, of like what's gonna carry with you. You know, there's technical elements too that need to also be considered as you're trying to like create that category of things that are gonna hold up for you for life. So yeah,
I think that's it for movies. Do we want to jump into some other mediums?
I got plenty. Yeah, I mean, I think one big one is, and for me, I mean, I'm not a huge gamer, but and there's gonna be gamers that are gonna be like, yeah, GOW, the Xbox was great, Halo is good, but I'm just gonna go back to N64 age because I just want to highlight a piece of like that recalibration ingredient, because I feel like N64 games themselves had a very unique revisiting, and it's like Mario Kart, for instance. It's not because like the game is incredible. Like we were playing it throughout college and stuff, but then after college, so like the mid 2000s, late 2000s, there was a pause there, and then people started bringing them back into bars and like some, you know, you see them in a lot of common area now places. They're just there, and I think there's a new experience with Mario Kart where the experience of playing the game is the same as it always was. Incredible. Like the courses are awesome. Whoever your favorite racer is great. But there's just something about
Wario fans. Where are my Wario fans out there?
What the hell?
Not many. Not many. See, I knew that was going to be a hot take.
It's Toad all the way, brother. But yeah,
of course.
But there's just something new and original about playing these games on an N64 unit with a broken controller that you can just there's not
each one's different. It has its own
and you can't replace them anymore. Like they're out there, they're like on eBay, but no one's going on eBay to replace these anymore. They are what they are, and you just deal with it and you laugh about it and you're still having fun, and maybe it's a little frustrating, but it's still fun. I think that's what holds up for me now. It's a weird thing to say, but I think it's
it's a visceral element. It's a visceral physical experience. It's a video game, but like you're holding a controller and you're having interaction, and you're usually right next to the other person you're playing with.
Exactly.
It's recalibrated. You're taking something that has all the flavors of that nostalgia. It's cooked over time, but now you're doing it in a way where we just don't have that many experiences where you're playing a game, you're holding a physical controller, you're next to somebody. It's just very unique. So many games are played even with controllers, with headphones, and you're just talking to somebody across the world and across the country, which is fine. There's positives to that, but there's something very special about literally pushing your friend while you're trying to go through Rainbow Road with Wario. And losing every time.
And now
shout out to Justin Felton.
Oh, man.
Also a fellow Toader.
Good.
Good.
There's no way Wario beat Toad.
You know what? As a big kid growing up, Wario and I had a lot of connection.
And like there's also just a new challenge to only being able to turn left. Like it's and
just like well.
Yeah.
My controller's broken.
Exactly. And you're instead of like that huge challenge where you're pushing each other and trying to take the other's controller, you just have someone really, really empathizing with you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm so sorry. It's okay. Here, do you want to use
mine next time?
Exactly. We've been able to graduate into a new bracket of emotional intelligence, and so has gaming. It just had to come with us. We had to bring it with us.
Let's move through some other mediums really quick before we wrap up with some things that need to be assessed for holding up. Literature, science fiction, fantasy. I think just those genres are holding up so well. I mean, I've talked about Lord of the Rings ad nauseum. You can listen to that episode. Those are sacred texts for me. But I think fantasy and science fiction have never been more important, especially from a literature and pop culture standpoint.
Yeah.
And I mean, unfortunately, as humans, like I think we need both of those to create other worlds for escape, for allegory, but also for science fiction, for future casting, but also for messaging of what is happening now in our world.
Yeah.
I would also say the Cold War has held up. I'm just saying, from a literature and storytelling standpoint, the Cold War has held up.
Okay.
Cold War stories are never more prevalent and enjoyable to delve into.
This is your podcast, Sloop.
Both from an intrigue, but also from a nostalgic idea that there's one big bad enemy on the other side of the world that may not have returned in a different form in our modern day. Yeah. But there's something about this Cold War era that I think is still holding up when we tell Cold War era stories. I mean, look at there's you can listen to our spy thriller episode. They're making Cold War TV shows. Peacock just came out with it's a spy TV show in the 70s set in the Cold War. Yeah. And we keep going back to the Cold War storytelling because it's so prevalent in what's happening in our geopolitics today. But also, I think people want to have a face of evil that's different. Yeah. That is a clear enemy. That is an obvious enemy versus the complexity that we have. And that's all we'll talk about with that. Music is inherently the thing that holds up. I mean, we live, I think, in the best musical time because we have access to everything. But music inherently holds up probably the most out of any medium because there is an artistry and it comes around so quickly and builds upon each other, and things are pulled from different genres and eras and styles. But there's a few that have held up specifically for Zach. Zach, there's a great artist called George Michael who has many great songs, but Father Figure by George Michael, why is that held up for you?
I think it's held up, man. So it is such a problematic song. I think at the time, even like about 5 years after it took that stage of just falling back into the ethos of pop culture because the lyrics are confusing. Like you don't, if I recall, the music video is also confusing, and there's definitely an interesting complexity to the relationship between the singer and the subject that this artist is talking to. Father Figure has come back in a strong way. It was one of the main pieces of the soundtrack of Baby Girl, and I think as that came back, it is hit TikTok. It is, I know I was starting to sing it constantly after. It's a good song. It has really great elements, and I think the cringe factor might be there, but I think it's a little bit more absolved in this day and age, and I think that's why it's more forgiven at this stage. And maybe I'm wrong. This could be extremely subjective.
No. Shout out to Ron Funch's performance of this song in the acclaimed New Girl episode where Winston is regaling his worst dates.
That's right.
Even prior to that.
I forgot about that. Oh, because that's why I sing it a certain way when there's no instrumental backup.
The fig, yeah. There's shout out to Ron Funches.
Yeah. Oh God, that was Ron. That's right.
There's levels deep. I think about this with Every Breath You Take, the Cars song, which is if you just say the lyrics, it's creepy as hell.
Sucker. Yeah.
Every single breath, every move you make. Stranger Things reclaimed that in their season 2 finale when they are at the snowball dance and they flip to the upside down, and the lyrics point directly to the upside down, aka Vecna is watching you. So I think there's ways where some of these songs that maybe have problematic lyrics or backstory history can be reclaimed, reused, and they can hold up in a different context.
Yeah. I think there's something about music where it is a fleeting 3 to 5 minute like experience, and we can easily just let that not weigh as heavily on us when we're re-listening to a song, or we can much easier to turn it off or hit next on a song if we don't like it. So it's harder. I think this is the challenging one to apply the recipe to. Like
It is.
I would say that I need to go forward and like start applying that a little bit more critically to music, because it is one that could be, you could find some new discoveries or rediscover some things.
Yes, shout out to our rediscovery episode, so The Joy of Rediscovery, where it really talks about music as a rediscovery. It's kind of like a boundless rediscovery every time you play a song, or you go through the recipe the fastest.
Yeah.
That's why I would say with music, we're going through that recipe like instantaneously, because music is such a unlock to your like core brain as a human.
Yeah.
So it just happens immediately. I mean, Green Day played at the Super Bowl, and it just immediately now it was awkward because like Tom Brady was walking around stage, and ironic that way, but so definitely in a new context.
Yeah, that's true.
But there's so much with music that is a part of this. All right, Zach, what are some things that still need to be assessed for holding up? Maybe we're not there. It hasn't fully baked.
Yeah, I'm gonna jump back into music really quick. I think we need to evaluate the third wave of ska music. So like, there's been a couple waves of ska, and I'm specifically like referencing like the 90s ska, like Real Big Fish.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of some other ones. It inherently, I really need to run it against I need to get some data on it, because
yes,
I think people my age have tattoos of ska music too. Like I don't know if that should happen. I'm not sure yet. I like the genre. There's some real good bops there.
Yeah. Shout out to Paul Knapp. Him and I accidentally went to a brewery a couple summers ago and came upon a millennial ska band from Ohio, and it may have been the beers flowing, but they were pretty good. And I wasn't really into ska music. I was very impressed.
Yeah.
So I think music is so unique because these subgenres and genres are being reclaimed, where artists are essentially like, I'm going to bring back ska music, I'm going to bring back funk disco music from the 80s. So I think there's a lot where music an entire genre can hold up, because a couple artists are saying, well, no one has played ska music in a while. Let's just do it.
Yeah. So
ska culture, that's a different thing.
I don't know. Ska music has its roots in like, it was definitely appropriated, I think.
Oh, absolutely.
And I think that's where I want to revisit it, because like if you look at 90s ska, the two big bands are Sublime and No Doubt. These like the main Billboard toppers. That's what the Wikipedia. They don't talk a lot about other bands even, but it's usually like white culture adapted some really amazing Jamaican music. And I think that's where I kind of want to look at. That's my consideration to put out there. If someone wants to do that for me, I don't think I want to, but I do want to pose it to the class. So I think that's something one for sure to take a look at.
Ska culture, I think, is even that's what once people start dressing like they're in the Rastafari culture, that's where I draw the line, especially college kids.
That's
so
fair. Yeah.
As long as that doesn't come back, I'm gonna be like, okay, that's a nostalgic genre that can come. I don't know if it's holding up, Zach, to be honest. That's you need to be at a very certain place and scenario for that to hold up. It's very difficult. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of artists in different genres. I mean, J.K. Rowling with Harry Potter. You can go Michael Jackson, of course. All these artists that. Do we separate art from artists? And that's a different podcast, but I think those are always assessed for holding up because it's challenging. So I don't want to get too deep into those. One that's personal for me that I struggle with a lot is the Bond franchise.
Yeah.
objectively does not hold up for our all the tests that we're doing. All the fifth step in the recipe not holding up.
Yeah.
However, when people ask me what's your guilty pleasure, I always say the Bond franchise because I do feel a little guilty watching them, especially because of the racism, the sexism, the violence, and just the general attitude of and portrayal of cultures.
And that's the hard part is you can't welcome anybody to join the experience with you. You're gonna have to curate who you're in the room with, and I think that fear definitely does beg that question.
Yes, that's why it's tough. I think some 2000s comedies are like that, and 90s comedies. As much as we love having comedies be part of our theater experiences, I think a lot of those movies and those jokes are rough. Like watching a 2000s comedy sometimes is harder than watching a 70s comedy or 80s comedy. I think there was like we were pushing the limits of what you could say in a movie and show in a movie, and they can be tough, and I don't know if they're holding up.
We might need to look at our classic board games a little bit closer.
Oh yeah, we already mentioned Guess Who.
Yeah. I mean, you look at...
Let's teach children stereotypes.
Yeah, exactly. And even then, it's just all... I think they're all white guys. Like, for the most part, it's not a very diverse set of flippers. But, like, Twister, I don't feel like we should be playing anymore.
The germs alone.
The germs? Oh, God, post-pandemic, yeah. But also just, like, the positions that we're getting into and, like... kind of pushing for close contact interactions that are funny if they're inappropriate accidentally. Not really for me. Also, like Monopoly, why are we teaching people to be to own a conglomerate of real estate and then screw other people and push other businesses out of a community so that you get to shape and model the community based on what color house you want to have? I think those are
risk,
yeah, taking over. I mean, I think it's a consideration to
Stratego,
play those. Yeah, Stratego,
just like line up and annihilate each other.
I know. And I think those are a lot of these board games were made, and I've been listening to a podcast that is really evaluating these lately. A lot of board games were made in the late 1800s to post-Depression era, and then got bought out by big games and got reskinned, reclassified. People even back then, Monopoly specifically actually was created by a woman, and then some man just took a portion of that game and called it Monopoly and made the first $1 million a board game could ever make in the middle of the Depression, but because he just ignored that this was patented by somebody else. So, like, stuff like that is problematic, I think, if you look at the history of the games or the elements of them.
That's so great because even Settlers of Catan, the backstory of that is actually pretty beautiful. It comes out of post-war Germany and this idea of, like, can we make a board game that's not about attacking or killing the other opponent? It's about building your society. Now, there's competitiveness in it, longest road, largest army, but your army isn't really attacking. It did come out of like, let's make it more. It's not a perfect board game, but pretty close. Like utilitarian type of culture where we're settling this. We're like creating a land and trying to do it relatively peacefully. Was pretty revolutionary at the time. And
this isn't a board game podcast. I won't go too crazy with you on this.
But this is great. We're really dipping our toes. It's good. It's healthy for us.
But when you crack open that nice little cardboard box and you smell that old contained air because it's been about 15 years since you opened that game, just think about that if you guys wouldn't mind.
Well, Zach, thank you so much for sharing this recipe. Thank you for your conversation about holding up. And once again, you are holding up well, my friend, and our conversations are always holding up.
Thank you. And likewise, thank you for having me on again. I love coming in and kind of like posing these interesting things and working with you on these things, Luke. I hope our group can scratch this down onto a recipe card
Yes, write those down on your index cards and put them in your shelf in your little like maybe you have an old tin. Put that recipe in there. Maybe put it next to your TV and bring it out, or next to your bookshelf.
Yeah.
Check out the recipe.
And I'm really curious what other people have too. You know, like
Yeah.
You can definitely assume like what I was ingesting as a small child and what I'm attached to, but I think I would love to hear other people's too over the years. Just let me know. I think I'm personally interested in your viewers and what they think. So yeah,
absolutely. Comment, reach out to us on all the things, all the platforms.
Yeah.
Let us know what's holding up for you in your pop culture world. Thanks again, Zach, for joining us. And until next time, we'll talk to you soon on Least Important Things.